a quiz on the California Legislature, a series of I've actually put together 30 of them on the legislature. The legislature must adopt a balanced budget pursuant to, and that's true. Not only must the legislature enact, but also the governor must propose a balanced budget on January or pursuant to our state constitution. Question 2, there are subcommittees and 5 Senate budget subcommittees. That basically has one more subcommittee than the state Senate does. The Senate has adopted an official code of conduct for its members, adopted the same document. That's false. Only the Senate code of conduct, although the Assembly has ethics rules as well. 4, all legislative employees may not accept a totaling more than $10 in a calendar month from a registered. That's false. It only applies to those who file a Form 700. Legislative staff who are prohibited from receiving gifts of more than per month by a lobbyist or a lobbying firm. The appropriations committees in each house have jurisdiction budget bill. This, of course, is false. They do have the claims bills, but it is the Assembly Committee on and the Senate Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review that have jurisdiction bill, the Budget Bill Junior or Budget Bills Junior. Question 6 is the governor's line item. The governor to reduce or eliminate an item of appropriation as well as statutory provisions in a bill that are related to that particular. That's false. The blue pencil authority only extends to an item of appropriation, but no statute. Question 7, only the Political Reform Act provides legislators to follow. That too is false. There are a constitution as well as the government code, such as the legislative, that contain ethical guidelines and rules for the California Legislature. Question 8, what are the differences between the budget bill and budget trailer bills? The budget bill is the main budget by June 15th for the Constitution. The budget bills junior, if there are multiple ones, make amendments budget bill, and the budget trailer bills are those bills that make changes that are required to implement the budget and contain and they are by number in or identify the main budget bill. Question 9, a bill that is on call out of committee or off the floor of the Assembly or Senate. The call must be lifted and the vote must be announced. Question 10, Assembly members can introduce a maximum of 40 bills, and senators can likewise introduce a maximum of 40 bills, of course, absent a rule waiver. That's false. 40 per session for senators, but 50 per assembly member per. Question 11, legislators may serve on no more than 6 sessions. Although that is a desired cap, there is no rules, the Senate rules or the joint rules that limit the number a particular legislator may serve. Question 12, sole power of impeachment, and an impeachment is tried in. That's false. It's the Assembly that does the impeaching, the trial, and determines whether removal from office Question 13. The Senate or the Assembly is the judge of its respective members. And that's true. They have that role over their respective members, and the courts with that role. Question 14. The Senate list bills that are introduced in their respective houses, taken on the floors of the House. There are many other provisions, but the important items concerning the official proceedings of the two houses, the daily journals of the Assembly and Senate. Question 15. Types of bills that are not subject to the August 31st deadline at the end of a 2-year session of the legislature. False. There are actually 5 types of bills. Bills containing a tax levy, bills containing an urgency clause, creation, or a vetoed bill. Question: direct democracy are found in Article 4 of the state constitution, where although the initiative and referendum are mentioned in Section 1, the 3 forms of direct democracy, including the Article 2 of the California Constitution. 17. The legislature must enact at least one bill when called into. This is false. The legislature must only convene at this. Then they can promptly adjourn it. They can introduce bills only the special or extraordinary session called by the governor, but they do not have to enact. Question 18. The governor must act on a bill within 3 days after the legislature has passed a bill, because there is always confusion about when the clock's 12-day or 30-day review. It begins when the bill or delivered to the governor, not when the legislature has passed. Question 19. Any bill enacted by the legislature and signed into subject to a referendum by the voters. This is false. Section 9 of the state constitution, the 4 types of immediate effect are not subject to a referendum. Referendum is the power of the electors to approve or reject statutes or accept urgency statutes, statutes calling elections, for tax levies, or statutes providing for appropriations for the usual of the state. Question 20. The legislature's with lawmaking power. Well, that's true. However, it's false as a general statement, because pursuant in Article 4, Section 1, the people reserve the power of initiative or constitutional amendments and the referendum to repeal statute legislature. Question 21. The legislature has and provide for the regulation of horse races and wagering on those horse races. Well, is the legislature has no power to authorize lottery. In fact, they have to prohibit the sale of lottery tickets in the. Question 20. Question 22. When a vacancy occurs in the legislature, are to call an election to fill the vacancy. That is, a special election must be called by the governor. This is question 23. A 2-year session, 30th of the even numbered years. That is true. Constitution at midnight on November 30th, the legislature in the even-numbered year. Question 24. Vote is required to either expel a member or to from the California Legislature. And that's true. The same is required for both of these actions. Question: legislators may accept both gifts and honorarium. The state constitution in Article 4 provides that no member may accept any honorarium. And it says that the legislature or strictly limit the acceptance of a gift by a member source if the acceptance of the gift might create a Question 26. The 40 and the 80 seats are called assembly districts. That's false. The state is actually divided into 80 assembly districts, 40 senatorial districts is what they're called in the Constitution. 27, the legislature must maintain video and audio recording legislative proceedings for a minimum of 20 years. And that will be accessible to the public through the internet for that period of 20 years. And this took effect after the adoption by the voters. Question 28, the state constitution allows party private after public notice. That's false. And limitation on when or where members of the Senate or Assembly may for themselves, their party caucuses. Question: a member of the legislature may be employed by the state during official California legislative session. And that's false. A member at any office or employment under the state other than his or. And finally, question 30, statewide election be impeached for any reason. That is false. Under the state, officers elected on a statewide basis, including members of state courts, are subject to impeachment for misconduct